welcome to Hildy's Garage. Today we're going to be working on a 2014 Volkswagen Jetta. What we're going to be doing is taking out the center console to repair the cup holder. Unfortunately, I broke the cup holder while drumming out to Phil Collins in the air tonight. I'm sure folks can relate to that. If you like this video helps you, please hit the like button and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. As you can see here, the cup holder has popped out of the bottom, and we're going to work to get this back up into it. Unfortunately, we have to take out the entire center console to get to the point where we can work on that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take all the seats and move them up as much as possible to make as much room for us to access the center console from the back. We're going to do that for both the driver and the passenger side. All right, we're going to start by taking out the center console covers. We've got one, and then this one should just pull out like that. And then we got two screws that we're going to loosen up here. Now, like with every German vehicle, everything's going to be Torx bits here. Just keep that in mind. Everything that is going to be removed is going to be removed using a Torx bit screwdriver. So next what we're going to do is we're going to remove this little cover here to show two more Torx screws. There's one Torx screw on this side and one Torx screw on the other side. All right, with those four screws removed, the whole back end should be free to move now. And we'll work our way up to the front and start removing screws from the front end. We're going to come back to the front and we're going to move all the seats back to give us as much access to the front panels here as possible. We're going to do that for both sides once again. Now, I guess the first thing you want to do is clear out all the junk. If you have, this is my wife's vehicle, so she has a lot of junk. Like, who keeps a piece of a sunglasses? What is this for? All right, next we're gonna go and we're gonna pop this silver plate off. I've moved the car into neutral here to centralize the gear shifter. Before I did that, I pulled the e-brake and I put a chock behind one of the wheels to make sure we don't roll anywhere. Let's go pop this off. Underneath here, you're gonna see two screws, one here, one here. And we're gonna take those out now. It's one thing to note that this Torx bit required to remove this is a little smaller than the other bolts that we took out. With those two screws removed, what we'll do is we'll take out this center plate piece here, and this will allow us to get access to the other screws so we can remove this center console. Down below here, we got two connectors that we got to get off first. All right, for the most part, they were easy to take out. What I ended up doing for the aux in, if you have one of these, I ended up squeezing these two tabs and pushing in to give me a little more access to the bottom here, and then I used a small screwdriver to push out the tab and pull it out. The cigarette lighter one, or the 12-volt one, was just an easy clip that you just push down and you pull out. But for the most part, we're ready to move on to the next step. So for the next step, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to remove these two screws in here. We've got one there, and we have one on the other side as well. We're going to go ahead and remove those screws. Next, we're going to remove two screws. There's one on each side of the car here. There's one on this, and then one on the other side. We're going to remove those once again. It's a Torx bit screwdriver, and we're going to remove those two screws. With those two screws below removed, come back to the center console here, and we'll remove this panel. This panel will reveal two more screws that we'll go ahead and remove here. Right now, with all the screws removed, we just have to shimmy it until it comes loose. There we go. And we'll be able to lift this up, hopefully, to a point where we can access the cup holders enough to put them back in. Now with everything loose, I was able to lift up the back end here enough to put my arm underneath, pick up the cup holders back up, click them back into place. The cup holders are now locked back in place. Wondering whether or not to take some Gorilla Glue and just put a seam there just to make sure they never come off and I never have to do this again. But for the time being, I'm just gonna let them be. Luckily, I didn't have to remove this entire center console. I will say that if it was have to be done, taking off the shifter knob would be a pain in the ass. They have other YouTube videos to how to take the shifter knob off. Right now, I feel like I'm at a point where I'm going to start assembling things back together now that the cup holders are fixed. Now that I have the cup holders back in place, I'm going to start putting everything back together. Everything goes back together the same way they came apart. It's going to take a lot of shimmying though, probably to get everything back into the same place that they were. Feel free to follow me on for other videos, as I'm frequently working on Explorers and Expeditions, as well as this Volkswagen. If this helped you out, please hit the subscribe and like button below. And see you later.